Hi, everyone. My name is Joshna, and I've been with Hope for Kids for a very long time, almost 12 years. I've been into teaching, running workshops, assisting teachers, assisting churches. So that's a little bit about me. And here we have on the call Elizabeth, who is from Wales, and she has been a part of our Hope for Kids teaching of Hope for Kids workshop. So it'll be nice if you could hear from her about her experience. So Liz, would you like to share something about yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I'm living in Wales right now, but originally I have lived in Switzerland for the last couple of years, and there I met I got to know EE, and I've done the XEE, and that's where I got introduced to the concept, and then I moved to Wales about a little more than a year ago, and started working as a children's worker in our church. And I was just looking for, because I knew of EE and that they have a kids program as well, and that's how I got your connection with you, Joshna.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Liz. So if I remember correctly, you were with us in our workshop last 20, I think in August 2022. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Yes. I would like to know how was your experience in Hope for Kids since you have already attended EE workshop, which is actually meant for the adults. So how did you find Hope for Kids workshop, which is more towards, children being the audience?
Yeah. So what I find is that it's actually quite similar to the adults program, and that really helped me to because I think I could really pick up everything very quickly because I knew what it was all about, and that was really helpful for me. So yeah, I think it was a good experience for me to first do the adults program and then the kids program.
Wonderful. So do you think that attending Hope for Kids Teachers workshop really simplified the way of how you can use the materials that were given out to the teachers? Like, there are three materials, the teacher's manual, then you have the Pathway to Hope, and we also have an activity book. So do you think that would have been easy for you to do it all by yourself, or attending a workshop really broke down, of how to conduct it and how to place every lessons in a systematic order? What do you say about it?
Yeah, that's a really good question because I had ordered all the material before attending the workshop because I didn't know that there was a workshop. And then I skipped through the material and I thought it looks great and I love how it's made and everything. And there are good explanations in it. But then I also thought it would be really helpful to see how it's actually done. And then I love to hear that there's a course coming up. And that was really helpful because especially seeing you, Joshna, in action and how you added creative ideas to everything. That was really, made everything alive to me. And I also appreciated a lot to being able to ask you all the questions I had about, and also like some things I wasn't sure about. I could just ask you, and I found that really helpful because you have so much experience in teaching, and yeah, that was really helpful for me. And then as well, just seeing others participating in the course, that is a huge encouragement as well, and a lot of fun.
Wonderful. I love your response. It's a pleasure helping you whenever you need it. In the workshop, it's not a workshop where you just sit down and you'd receive input there. It's a workshop where you actually participate and you get to know how children really enjoy it. So something that we did collectively was, remember the memory verse of Proverbs 3:16, 3, 5, and 6, and we also did the gospel hand path. So how have the children found it easy to connect with the sharing of gospel using, this memory verse, hand motions. So what's your response on that?
Yeah, I mean, the actions really help the children a lot, and they are also much more motivated to memorize scripture and the gospel path with the actions, because it's just more fun to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it definitely helps them. Sometimes when I repeat it and the next lesson, I repeat what we have done. I just show the actions, and they come up with the words by themselves, only because they see the actions, they remember the actions. So I think that's a really, really helpful thing for the children as well.
Brilliant. I'm sure they would love it. Just imagine, as teachers, we really enjoyed doing that time and again, and it really helped us with the retention. So, one of the things that we have in our workshop is we start a class with a wonderful surprise, and it's tagged under welcome. If you look at the teacher's manual, and it's a beautiful way of starting it, because the children don't know what they're going to experience, and everything that we do in the welcome has some connection to the lesson point. So, what has been the response of your children to the new welcomes that we have in each lesson?
Yeah, so to be honest, I had to adjust a little bit of the program. So I don't follow like the same order, which is introduced in the teacher's guide, because it's just more helpful for the setting I have for my kids' club. Because it's an after school club. It's not on a Sunday morning where all the children come at the same time, but it's just in the afternoon. So some people come like very early, others come late, and that's why I have to give them something to do in this time while we wait for everybody to arrive. And that's why we start with the craft and not with the welcome,
Okay.
or like how it's presented in the book.
Mhm.
But they always enjoy the craft, and it's always an opportunity for me as well to get a little bit more creative. And because the craft as well is connected to all of the teaching of the lesson, so I think that's really helpful. And the other thing is then they really are able to finish the craft in time, so everybody is able to take home a ready takeaway. So yeah, that's how I do it. And then of course I use the material as well, like for example the glasses, how you welcome the children in one of the lessons, but I use it just not right from the beginning, because we start in a different way.
No worries. I love your honesty. And this is where, I appreciate that you have adopted Hope for Kids to the best of how you could implement it with the children, like you are doing an after school club. And yes, the craft does take time. So you have actually you've made optimum use of the time of when children are, in and out and not yet ready for the class. That's when they are ready to get themselves with the craft. They have enough time to finish it off and take a finished product home. So I really appreciate the way you have adopted Hope for Kids, the whole structure to the way which suits your church, and that something that is more convenient to you. So there is no compulsion that you have to actually follow the sequence. It is for churches who really don't have a kind of sequence. They can follow these sequences and adopt it. But churches who already have a sequence and may want to tweak it according to their convenience, they can feel free to do it. So that's really good to hear that you have more ways of engaging children with your structures, as long as the aim is that we are still to the point of teaching children each lesson of how they can share gospel from the takeaways to the hand actions. So brilliant work, Liz. It's really lovely to listen from you. I would like to ask you about the takeaway. Now that's more exciting because children love doing this takeaway, and it's all connected to the lesson that we teach. So how useful was the takeaway craft in helping children share their faith to an adult or a children of their age group?
Yeah, so I think the craft is really helpful, because there's always a little like picture on it, or some words which are related to the lesson, or a Bible verse as well. So I always make sure that there's something which remembers the children of what we've learned in the lesson. But to be honest, I also have to say that I often forget to ask the children how they used it in their everyday life. Because I always like, you also asked me for pictures, but I often just forget to take pictures during the lesson. It's just
No
a lot of
problem. Yeah.
things to think of, and as I'm the only teacher, so I have a helper, but he's only assisting, so he doesn't know the program, and so I think it's for him, he can't really assist me in the teaching. I would find that really helpful to have someone to just step in sometimes when I forget something. But this is something I really have to remember more to ask the children. But just recently, a parent told me that their daughter is always able to tell them what she has learned in the lesson. So that was encouraging.
Beautiful.
And
Yeah.
I think it is helpful, but I just, I really have
Yeah,
to
once
remember
again,
to ask.
I truly appreciate your honesty, and you're already doing a wonderful job. It's a workshop, obviously, which cannot be done by a single person. I've tried doing it on my own too, but you struggle at a point, where you need assistance. When you have more than 5 children, where you need to have one-to-one with them. So I'm glad that you have an assistant. That's good. Another thing is, yes, there are times we do forget on doing a review, but if something that can help from my side as a as a point that you can implement would be, I would generally have a checklist kept on the board for me to see something that you have it in front of you. You will never forget that. So I always keep that. If you remember in the workshop, I had a whole sequence kept, and it's easy for the children to relate as well, that this is going to come up next, this is going to come up next, and I'm as a teacher. So that could be something that you could use. But if you've not even asked children of how the takeaway was used, that's fine, as long as we know that children can at least say a word or two, not a word or two, let's just put it a sentence and few more in describing what they have learned with the takeaway. And it's full colorful, it's their hard work, and it has everything that you have put into nutshells of different lesson plans in those takeaways. So that's really good, that your children are loving the takeaways. And
thank you so much, Joshna. That's really helpful and very encouraging what you say. I will use that next time.
Oh, perfect. That's great. And last but not the least, since you have already been a part of Hope for Kids workshop, you have enjoyed it, didn't you? I've seen you in full action. I've seen you doing skits. I've seen you in in a team implementation stage. So I have all the evidences of how you have enjoyed it. So would you recommend other teachers of different churches, parents, caretakers, grandparents, whoever are involved with children, and their care, to be a part of a Hope for Kids teachers workshop, where the aim is to reach the unreached, with the gospel. And this is the time, where we can actually train them up. So what would your recommendation be to these teachers who are listening out right now?
Yeah, I very much recommend the workshops to any teachers, parents, or children's workers and grandparents and whoever has to do with children. Because first of all, you yourself learn a lot about to tell the gospel in a nutshell, in a very simple way.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something, every Christian must be able to tell someone else, because that's what our greatest task is. And I really think that the Hope for Kids course is really helpful for that, for you in the first place. So I definitely recommend that. And and in addition to that, there's lots of good stuff which we can teach the children, like Bible stories and catechisms and other things. But being able to teach the very heart of the Bible is something you really should not miss. And I'm sure there will be a great benefit for yourself as a teacher, for your children, and for the whole church as well. Because I think it will encourage others as well. If you see how, if you are able to tell the gospel to others, they might be encouraged as well to learn it themselves, and so we as a whole church might be equipped better to reach out to the lost with the gospel. And I think
Wow,
really
wow.
important.
Absolutely. I love your response. You know, the best part is that anyone who attends this workshop, it's first going to benefit you. And that's what you rightfully said. And unless you are benefited, you will not be able to teach others. And, you know, even if it's a 2 days workshop for the teachers, it's more than enough for them to actually get the understanding of how to start it off, how to end it up. And, you know, and there is OJT, which is on the job training. So it's important for us to be benefited personally before we reach out. So thank you. You've been really, you know, good on this call. You've shared your experiences from, you know, what you're doing, which with full honesty, you know, I appreciate that. And I wish you all the best. I want you to enjoy this more while you are implementing it with the children. And I really look forward for more testimonies coming up, because I'm sure there's something good God is going to do with these children, and it must be an ongoing activity. So try and implement it as more as you can. I'm here to assist you with anything that you need, from the books, out of the books, or any kind of creativity that can help you, you know, enhance on your workshops year on year if that requires it. And also, if you need any assistance, then you could always connect to the blog, to the website, which will be at the end, which will be shown at the end of this podcast. And yeah, you can connect and let us know of how we can reach out to your church, help your teachers, equip them so that they can equip, you know, the other children in your church. And together we grow. You know, that's the very heart of the Lord. So thank you so much, Liz. God bless you.
Thank you, Joshna. It is so encouraging to have you on this journey as well, because as I don't have anyone else to ask, it's really good to know someone who's just so passionate about this. And that's really encouraging for me as well, when sometimes I get a bit weary, or I don't know how to do something. I always can reach out to you. Thank you so much, because that's a huge help for me.
Well, you're welcome. God bless you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Joshna.
Thank you.